plant physiological process. Okay, it occurs in plant, and you must have studied classification of plant.
Yes, miss.
Okay, so you understand what when I say higher group of plants, lower group of plants, you understand that part. Am I right?
Yes, miss.
Okay, fine.
Yes, miss.
So yes. So it's a plant physiological process, physiology. It's a very important one. The way our body have the respiration, digestion, everything is there. Same one very important process in the plant is photosynthesis. And I hope you must be knowing that synthesis utilizing photo means light. Okay, with the help of light, if you synthesize something, then it is called photosynthesis. Here whatever we are plants are synthesizing is called food. Okay, and for biology we will use the word starch. Is it clear?
Yes, miss.
Okay, so synthesizing starch utilizing light is basically a photosynthesis process. It's very significant. Without photosynthesis, its plant is dead. So it is very much significant life process for the plant. Okay, plant will be dead means then it doesn't have meaning to live further. It doesn't have the processes to conduct because food will be unavailable soon for them. So without photosynthesis, their survival become difficult. Okay, and as we know that plants are the major producers on earth. Producers, that means they are the major source which provide food to themselves, to animals, and even to humans. Okay, so they are the major producers because none of the other creature on the earth can produce food on its own. They can cook it, they can arrange it, make it from somewhere, but to prepare the food by using natural available sources, it's only the plant who are the major producers. So basic requirement for the photosynthesis for this process is you should have enough amount of sunlight first of all. Okay, so the requirements for the photosynthesis process is sunlight. Another thing which is major requirement is CO2. Okay, so sunlight, CO2, these two things are very much or they are very much important for the process to continue. And one more thing that is present in the plant is chlorophyll. Okay, so these three are the basic requirements for the photosynthesis reaction. If these three are there, then the plant will definitely have the photosynthesis process going on inside their parts. Okay, whatever green parts will be there, they will be having some amount of photosynthesis in them. It is not necessary always leaves are there. Leaves are doing it. Okay, some little bit of photosynthesis is also continued in the young green branches or young green barks. Wherever it is green part, photosynthesis will be there. So let's see how does it happens, and where does it happens, and what happens when it is started, and what is required when this process is going on in the uh, plant. Okay, so I think we shall begin with the structure of leaf. This is just a basic introduction to make you understand that whatever terms we will be using, they will be incorporated in this structure. Okay, so do you understand this vertical section or longitudinal section?
Yes, somewhat.
Somewhat. Or transverse?
Yes, Miss. Transverse section is okay.
Okay. So sectioning is nothing but when you cut a particular part from one axis, that is called section. Okay, so you must be doing this thing, your mother must be doing this thing in the kitchen every day. You have salads in your lunch?
Yes, Miss.
Okay, fine. So when you cut onions, cucumber, basically thin portion, thin chip like portion you have, then when you have your salads, so that is called sectioning. It's nothing but sectioning in biology. That means you are cutting the particular vegetable or particular green part of the plant from one particular axis. It is from the vertical axis of the suppose if this is the thing you have to cut. If I cut it from here and I will go straight down, then this is called vertical section. Is it clear to you?
Yes, Miss.
And if I turn it like this and do it the way you do every day in your kitchen, is called transverse section. Is it clear to you?
Yes, Miss.
Okay. So this is called vertical or transverse section. You are having some of the diagrams in your book. There it is written, I think, transverse section, vertical section. That's why I took these words to make you understand. Okay. So the sectioning when you are doing, do understand this, that the more thin section, the most, or I should use most thin section will be most clear under microscope. I think when you will be visiting your labs, I don't know right now your practical syllabus, okay, biology practical syllabus, but what happens actually when you have the botany practicals is you have some of the sectioning part too. Okay, in that you have to study the sections under the microscope. So what you have to do is you have to cut down the especially dicots and monocots when you study. So you have to section them in a very thin chip like structures, and you have to observe them under the microscope. The most thinnest one will be the most clear under the microscope. Okay, so if it is thick, it is not clear because many of the layers will be overlapping each other. Am I clear to you?
Yes, Miss.
Okay, so if it is thin, you can see the cells very clearly. If it is thick, many of the layers of the cells will be overlapping, and this will lead to the dizzy section. It will not be clear to you. Okay, so just remember when you are sectioning this. So let's see, if you have a leaf with you, okay, and we are sectioning it from any of the uh, portion, it will be almost equal. Let's cut this leaf from this axis. Okay, you have to place the leaf, and you have to obtain a thin section from it, and you have to place it under the microscope. Then what you will observe? You will observe is that, first of all, some cells like this. Okay, then we will observe some cells like this. Then you will see some cells like this. And then again, you will see one. Yes. Is it clear? So
Yes.
let's see. What I want to say with this is, this much portion of the cell is called upper epidermis. Okay, upper epidermis, and the one which is down is called lower epidermis. Okay, so epi means outer and dermis means skin. These cells are from the upper layer of the leaf, while these ones are from the lower layer of the leaf, lower epidermis. Okay, and the one which is in the center is called mesophyll region. Okay, so this is mesophyll region, while some of the cells are compactly arranged, very tightly arranged, which are very much near to the upper epidermis. They are called palisade. Okay, and the one which are loosely arranged with each other, they are called spongy. Okay, so palisade and spongy, both of them will give mesophyll region. Is it clear to you?
Miss, what's the meaning of the word mesophyll?
Mesophyll, let me say. Meso means middle, and fill means leaf. Is it clear now?
Yes, miss. Clear.
Okay, so middle region of leaf is called mesophyll, and it is made up of two types of cells, palisades and spongy. Is it clear now?
Yes,
Ma'am,
miss.
what is the meaning of palisade?
Palisade means compact arrangement of, I think you must have studied parenchyma.
Yes, ma'am, thick and elongated cells.
Yes, thick and elongated cells. They are all parenchymatic cells, but they are compactly arranged. Is it clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, fine. Now, You can see there is whenever you will be observing your section under the microscope, you will see that there will be small gaps in the upper epidermis, even in lower epidermis, and these gaps are reserved for special type of cells, and they are called stomata. Okay, so these gaps are just you can see them at regular intervals. Okay, even in upper epidermis too, and in lower epidermis also. So they will be stomata. This much is the basic structure of leaf. Can you understand this?
Yes, miss.
Okay, fine. Now, the thing why the leaf is green, yeah, you know the answer, that it is due to the presence of chlorophyll. Okay, so chlorophyll is a pigment. Am I right?
Yes, miss.
Okay. And pigment has to be, as pigment is fluid in nature, it has to be occupied in one type of vessel, and that vessel is nothing but chloroplast. Okay. So chloroplast and chlorophyll are two different words. Chlorophyll is a pigment, while chloroplast is a vessel which contains that, or the organelle. In biology, we will use the word organelle, which constitute this particular pigment. Is it clear now? Now, these chloroplasts are present in these cells. Okay. When you will be observing this particular section in microscope, they are very much prominent and very much clearly seen under the microscope. So these are arrangement of chloroplast. You can see them like beads are arranged very systematically. Okay, so this is how you can observe them in all the cells. Even in spongy also they will be there, but they will little bit scattered, while in palisade they will be compactly arranged, and in like the way the beads are arranged in the necklace, that is how it will be arranged. And this particular chloroplast is present in almost all the cells wherever the green portion of the leaf is covered. Is it clear to you?
Yes, miss.
Okay, so whenever your school will start, just have a look of the structure of the leaf. You will be having very much clear idea about this. Okay, so these terms will be using further for the process of photosynthesis. So that's why to understand the basic structure of leaf is very important. Okay, now shall I remove this page?
Yes, miss.
Okay.
Yes,
Now,
miss.
okay, thank you. And now see, the another one, the let's see. Okay, fine. Let's see another structure which is also playing a very important role in photosynthesis. That is stomata. Okay, we will study structure also, then we will proceed further. Okay. So stomata are the openings or pores present on the dermal portion of the leaf. Their number varies from plants to plants. Okay, their number even varies from upper epidermis to lower epidermis. Okay, and but the structure in dicots is almost same. For monocots, they are little bit different, but no need to study right now what is the difference. The basic thing is they have their particular structure for dicots and they have another particular structure for monocots. here whatever we will be studying is the generalized structure for the stomata, whether it is dicot or whether it is monocot.
Miss, plants are classified into dicots and monocots
I think
on the basis of seed.
yes, on the basis of seed, but the way their seeds are planted, their leaf structure also changes, beta. Let me give you one example that in dicots you must have studied the example of bean or pea, something like that.
Dicotyledonous seeds. Yes, miss.
Okay, and monocots you have studied, I think, maize. Okay, so in leaf of dicots is having this type of basic structure what you draw basically for leaf, while in maize if you see the leaf, I think this is the season of eating corn daily. I think sweet
Yes,
corn you
yes.
are having, you can see its layers, the covering, it is also having the some
Parallel veining.
straight lines. This is how it is. Got it?
Okay, miss. Thank you.
Okay. So leaves are also different for dicots and monocots. Stem is also different for dicots and monocots. You have studied on the basis of seed, but there is a further classification too for understanding their leaves also. Okay. But right now, whatever we will be studying will be the general structure for stomata. We are not differentiating it as dicots or monocots. Is it clear?
Okay, miss.
Okay. So the general structure of stomata must be, if you see stomata from the top view, how it will be seen is, you can see two kidney shaped cells. Fine. So these two kidney shaped cells will be surrounded by bigger parenchymatic cells. This is how it is. It's little bit thicker wall. So these kidney shaped cells, these two, are called guard cells. Okay, the one you have seen here. Can you see?
Yes, miss.
These are guard cells. Okay, so guard cells are the mechanical cells of the stomata. When we will study how the stomata works. Okay, and they are surrounded by epidermal cells, uh, different labelings have been used. Adjacent cells can be named. Okay, supporting cells, they can be named in very different books. Different labelings must be there. Okay, supporting cells, epidermal cells, adjacent cells. This is how it is written. And this is the outer wall for guard cells, while this one is the inner wall for the guard cells. Okay, and this pore, this space is called stoma. Stoma means pore. Right? So stoma, guard cells, epidermal cells, makes stomata. Clear to you?
Yes, miss.
Okay. So this is the basic structure for stomata, and you have to understand that stomata is not a physical cell is not there. It's just a space. But after having the surrounding of these types of cells, it will make up as stomata. Okay. So these two structures are very much important. So that we can understand the photosynthesis in better way. Okay, so these stomata on upper epidermis, you can find them at regular interval, while on lower epidermis there are also huge number of stomata are there, and they are responsible for major process that is called transpiration. Okay, and transpiration directly associates photosynthesis. Okay. So do you find it difficult from your textbook whatever I am teaching?
No, miss.
No,
Okay.
ma'am.
Can you relate it where I am right now from your book?
Yes, miss.
Okay, fine. Because I'm
Yes, ma'am.
not going the way it is given heading in your books. Okay, I'm just relating first of all, then you will understand where it is there in your book. Just read it. Okay. So let's begin with the structure of chloroplast now. Okay. So chloroplast is a organelle which constitute chlorophyll. Okay. So word chloro means green. What chloro means? Green. And when you have studied the structure of cell, I think you must have studied heading plastids.
Yes, miss.
Okay, so in that you were be having chromoplast.
Yeah, miss. Chloroplasts and leucoplasts.
Yes, then chloro and leuco. So chromo means colorful, chloro means green, and leuco means white or colorless. Is it clear?
Yes, miss.
Okay. So the one which is responsible for photosynthesis will be chloroplast. Okay. So this is also, I think it is studied with the sections only. Vertical section or longitudinal section is given in your textbook, I think, or transfer section is given. Structure of chloroplast. Okay. So what we have to study right now with this is that it is a double layered organelle, first of all. Okay. Outer membrane is there and inner membrane is there. Okay. And it is filled with huge amount of fluid, and that fluid is called stroma. Okay, it is filled with the fluid which is colorless. Okay, so stroma is a fluid which is colorless in nature, and it is filled in the space which is present in the inner membrane of the chloroplast. Now it have some solid structure so also inside it, and they are called, and see, coin like structure must be there, like this. This particular structure is called thylakoid, means coin like. Okay, so thylakoids are the working units of the chloroplast. They are the active member of the chloroplast, because the chlorophyll will be present in these membranes only. Okay, so chlorophyll is not spreaded or scattered everywhere in the chloroplast. Wherever the thylakoid is there, only there the chlorophyll will be present. Okay, so these thylakoids are arranged like this, like we arrange the coins one above the another. And whenever these thylakoids become a stack in a group, then this structure is called granule. Okay.
Yes, miss.
Okay, so basically if I label only one, then it should be granum. Granum is a singular one, while grana is the plural of granum. Okay, so this particular granum or all these grana will be having chlorophyll wherever two thylakoids are meeting with each other. So chlorophyll is present at a very particular space. This is how the chlorophyll is present, and this imparts green color to the leaf. Is it clear to you?
Yes, miss.
Okay, fine. And these granum are also covered by one thin membrane. Okay, and these membranes of every granum will be interconnected with each other. Like this. They are all interconnected with each other. Okay. They will form little bit of bridges to get connected with each other. So this is how they are also enveloped inside a layer, and that is a granum layer only. Okay. So wherever thylakoids are meeting with each other, chlorophyll has been rescued or protected over there, and this imparts the green color to the plant. Okay, so basically chloroplast is present in the mesophyll region of the leaf. A huge amount you can find out in the mesophyll region, even in the guard cells. Here they are also present, chloroplast. Clear to you?
Yes, miss.
Okay, its presence. Mesophyll cells, guard cells, even green stems. You eat spinach and all that. They have soft green stems. There also you can find out presence of chloroplast. Okay, so these um, particular chloroplast and is having chlorophyll, and this chlorophyll is having some basic nutrients present in them, that is carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, and very important out of these four is magnesium. Okay, so without this, chlorophyll is a distorted structure. It is not a complete chlorophyll. It is diseased or it is dead. Okay, so magnesium is very important for the structure of chlorophyll. Is it clear to you?
Yes, miss.
Okay, so if you
Yes,
see,
miss.
there is a number given in your, I think in your book, okay, how much chloroplast is there in particular square millimeter of your per square millimeter of your leaf. Then they are in thousands, I think. 600, 700,000 or 500,000 must be given. Okay, so this is how it is present. So that's why it is a bright green color which comes just because of this chlorophyll. Now this chlorophyll is of 9 types. There are 9 types of chlorophyll, but the most abundant in nature, or it is the one which is found out in every group of plant and everywhere, is chlorophyll A and chlorophyll B. These are the most abundant one. Okay, so we have to see these only, no need to see what are other 9 types. But chlorophyll A and chlorophyll B are the major, and that is what you have to understand further. And another thing is, we have studied that chlorophyll requires sunlight for the production of food, but these chlorophyll are very sensitive to light. If too much light is being provided to them, then also they are dying. If no light is there, then also they are dying. So they are very much sensitive. They require a very much appropriate proper amount of light for their survival. We can't give them more, we can't give them less. You can see, you must have seen in when it is when the summer days are there, the leaves die prematurely, they become yellow. Okay, have you seen in the trees around,
Yes,
around
miss.
you? Okay, so too much of light is also harmful for them. They cannot survive it, they cannot bear it. And if no light is there, then also they will not be working. You must have seen the grass which is growing under the shade, it is white in color sometimes.
Yes, miss.
Okay, why? Because if no light is there, chlorophyll will not be developed by the plants, and they will be white in color. No green color will be developed by the chloroplast. Is it clear to you? So this is how it works. Very much sensitive, and they are very much uh, particular. They don't require light for the whole day. Okay, they require light for some little amount of duration also, and little amount of quantity also. Okay, so that is why we say, when we place street light wherever the trees are there, and you have street lights on the roads and trees are there, those trees will have difficulty in doing the photosynthesis, because the when the sun sets and the darkness prevails, then we have the street lights for our facility, but that hinders the process of photosynthesis in the plants. That confuses the plants, that is it a dark, is it night, or is it day. Okay, so that's why the those who are uh, aware of the environment, they will try to put up their lights away from the trees, not near the trees, because it will hinder the plant life. Okay, is it clear to you?
Yes, miss.
Okay, so now let's see how this stomata works. Stomata closing and opening. Now see, as we know that these are the openings, okay, and why these openings are provided in the structure of leaf? Because they are responsible for the exchange of gases. Okay, so stomata closing and opening is the one which controls transpiration. That means exchange of gases, CO2 and O2 basically. Okay, so whenever the plant intakes CO2 from stomata, it undergoes the process of photosynthesis. This CO2 is utilized for photosynthesis, and in return it provides O2 through stomata outside the environment. So this is the only opening which provides the gateway for O2. Is it clear to you?
Yes,
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so it is very important that how it is opens up and how it is closes down, because it should not remain open every time, because if it is open every time, huge amount of CO2 will enter inside it and that will destroy the leaf. Okay, and if it is closed every time, then huge amount of oxygen will be accumulated here. Okay, that will also destroy the leaf. So proper exchange must be there, and
oxygen destroys the leaf.
yeah, yes, Brenda.
So oxygen also destroys the leaf.
Yes, oxygen also destroys the leaf. N- being when you study biology, you should understand that none of the thing on the earth, when it is very too much of it is always harmful. Okay, too much
Okay.
of food is harmful, too much of oxygen is harmful, too much of love is also harmful. Is it clear to you?
Yes, miss.
Okay, fine.
Yes, ma'am.
So huge amount of when CO2 enters, that also is not good. If this closes down and huge amount of oxygen is accumulated here, then also it will destroy the leaf. Even huge amount of oxygen is not, what do you think? If the whole earth is filled with oxygen, then it will be good for you to survive. Then also you will die, you know that.
No, miss, I didn't know.
Okay, fine. You just it's a just a small fact I am sharing, that if you remove all the gases, carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide, methane, ethane, propane, whatever the gases are there, if you remove all of them from the earth and just fill the earth with the oxygen for our survival, then also we will die with the oxygen attacking, and that's the true thing. So everything has to be balanced, nothing more is good for us. Okay, so how does it closes and how does it opens, and when it opens, that also we will see. So first, there are two types of theories given in your book. One is K plus ion theory. I think ion gradient is there, and one is related to sugar. Okay, do you understand the word gradient?
Yes, miss, slope. Higher level to lower level.
Good. Do you understand the word osmosis?
Yes, miss. From high
Yes,
concentration
ma'am.
to low concentration, solvent molecules movement.
Yes, ma'am.
Through a
From a semi-permeable membrane.
Okay, very good. Do you understand the diffusion?
yes, miss.
Fine. then all these words are clear to you. So it will be easier for me to teach you. Okay. So the thing is, right now, what the word which we will be watching is osmosis, and osmosis is basically a movement of, we will here we will understand with the with respect to H2O. Okay, universal solvent. So when H2O moves from its higher concentration to its lower concentration, that is called osmosis. Okay, through semi-permeable membrane. And let's see how does it works for K plus, and how does it work. It is almost same for both the theories. If you go through your textbooks, let's begin with the K plus first. Now, as we have seen that guard cells are also having chloroplast. These guard cells are also having chloroplast arranged on the margin of its membrane. This is how the chloroplast is arranged in there. Okay, in both of them. So, as chloroplast is there, chlorophyll is there, and if chlorophyll is there, these guard cells will also perform photosynthesis. Okay. So when they are performing photosynthesis, definitely many of the products will be formed as the reaction is going on. So this is what we have to understand, that when the photosynthesis occurs, what happens actually with these guard cells. So first we will see in daytime. Okay, when it is day, when proper sunlight is there. Okay, so if having guard cells with you and they are performing photosynthesis because of sunlight, okay, this sunlight will trigger the process of photosynthesis, and this photosynthesis, as food has been prepared, so huge amount of ATP will be synthesized. ATP, you are aware of this term, no?
Yes, miss. I know the term that it's means. What's the meaning of ATP? I don't know. Means.
Okay, you don't know the abbreviation.
No, miss. I know the abbreviation also.
Okay, fine. ATP is energy molecule.
Okay, miss.
Okay.
It is adenosine triphosphate.
Triphosphate.
Yes, adenosine triphosphate, and it's a basically the energy molecule in all the living organisms. Our body works on the basis of energy, and that energy is nothing but in the form of ATP. Okay, so adenosine triphosphate is nothing but let me simplify this for you. It is one structure like this. This is adenosine, and triphosphate, it has 3 phosphate linked with it. So whenever these phosphates break down, phosphate energy, this will become adenosine diphosphate, ADP. Okay, and if we require more, then second phosphate, ATP, ADP, and AMP. So whenever the phosphate is removed, the energy is released in our body. Okay, and it's a huge amount of energy is released, so that there are huge amount of ATP is being produced. Whatever we eat, whenever digestion takes place, the one which is released is nothing but ATP. Am I clear what did I said with this?
Yes, miss. Exactly.
Okay. Okay.
Yes, miss.
So thank you, beta. So energy molecule is produced whenever the photosynthesis occurs. Now, when this reaction is happening, what does it happen? What happens actually with these guard cells? That they will pump, they will suck up huge amount of K plus ions, okay, from the surrounding cells. That means from here, they will uptake K plus ions. K plus ions will move inside these cells and it will be a huge inflow. Okay, it's not one by one, it will be a huge inflow will be there. So these K plus, when they increases their concentration, that means they act as a solute. Okay, so huge amount of K plus will be accumulated over there and this will make the guard cells hypertonic, means saturated. Hypertonic means saturated. Is it clear to you?
Yes, miss.
Okay, so when huge amount of K plus will enter here, they will become hypertonic in nature. That means they are highly saturated with the solute molecule. So what they have to do is they have to balance this saturation. So they will intake H2 from the surrounding region. Okay, so now as K plus has moved inside, now huge amount of H2O also will move. And what it will do, whenever the H2O will be inside this, the cells become turgid in nature. Okay, they will become turgid because lot of H2O they will swell. Okay, and when they will swell, these guard cells have a small fibers inside them. Okay, these fibers will pull the inner wall to keep this pore open. Is it clear to you?
Yes, miss. Miss, water will
way-
enter. Miss, water will enter the guard cells due to increase in K plus ion concentration.
Yes.
Okay, miss.
Okay, so as the cells become hypertonic in nature, it has to balance it with the help of solvent. So H2O will also enter inside it, and so that it can be balanced. And once they become turgid, they become heavily swelled, then these fibers will pull the inner wall towards outer side so that these pores should remain open, and at that time CO2 and O2 exchange will occur. Is it clear to you?
Yes, miss.
Yes, miss.
Okay, so this is how the stoma opens. This is how the stoma opens. And listen, do understand this. I have written over here that daytime. That does not mean that whole day this will happen. Okay, whole day it is not necessary. Plants have another options for to close it down according to their facilities. Okay, so this is happen when the appropriate sunlight will be there for them. Then only this whole reaction will takes place. Is it clear now?
Yes, miss.
Okay, now what happens when it is dark or night? Then reverse will happen. The whenever the night time will be there, it will be dark, so no sunlight will be there, no photosynthesis will occur, so no K plus ion will be incorporated, so no hypertonic situation is there, so no need of huge amount of H2O. This H2O has to be passed to the adjacent cell again. Okay, it is given back to the cells which are surrounding the stomata. So when once it is given back, these cells are relaxed. And when they are getting relaxed, their shapes become like this, and the stomata pore closes down. Is it clear to you?
Yes, miss.
Okay. Am I very fast?
No, miss, it's okay.
It's okay. Have you understood? It's just the reverse process, because no sunlight, no photosynthesis. If no photosynthesis, no ATP has been synthesized. No ATP, no K plus ions. If no K plus ions, no saturation. If no saturation, H2O is not needed. It should be given back to the other cells. Once it is given back, the cells are relaxed and the stomata closes to protect from to stop the transpiration process. At the night time, transpiration is absent, while transpiration is on only at the time of day.
Miss, K plus ions are taken in due to ATP.
Yes, because actually you will understand this when you will move to the higher classes, that ATP synthesis is also one type of physiological cycle. Okay, so as I have said that magnesium is an important component of chlorophyll. This is how the K plus ions are also one of the important component when all these synthesis takes place. Okay, actually it's not K plus, it is K2CO3 and all these components, but you don't have to go that much in detail. Is it clear to you?
Okay, miss, thank you.
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
Right now you have to understand just K plus with the K plus ions, and they help during the process of ATP synthesis. That's why they are taken influx increases at the time of ATP synthesis. That's what you have to understand right now. Is it clear?
Yes, miss.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, fine. So I know it's a little bit uh, difficult. I don't know, a bit odd one to understand, but you will understand. You will absorb that gradually. Okay. So one thing what you have to do is just go through this K plus ion gradient theory from your textbook. Just go through it.
Yes, miss, done.
Is it clear to you now?
Yes, miss.
Okay. Now, same thing happens with the sugar concentration theory. Okay. The thing which I am telling you is just uh, read it, understand it. Okay. So that it will be very much clear to you. It's same as K plus ion theory. Just go through it.
Miss, the sugar that is produced by the photosynthesis of guard cells, it is stored in the guard cells only.
No, actually, it's not like storing. That is a different process, beta. Storing of the whatever food is prepared, that is a different process. It's not related to right now transpiration. Whatever you are studying is just for the transpiration part.
Okay, Miss.
Okay, storage is a different thing. The plants have different, because whenever the food is prepared in any part of the plant, we know that leaves prepare the food. Okay, so leaves has different part of storage. It may be the trunk, it may be the roots. Okay, that is a different process, or that is the movement of sugar, and that is not related to transpiration.
Okay, Miss.
Okay. Are you done?
Yes, Miss.
Both of you?
Miss, he has left the meeting recently. I don't know why. Some internet problem, I think.
Okay, fine. No worries, no worries. Okay, so have you understood this?
Yes, Miss.
Okay, so that is what is made. Actually, the sugar concentration theory is the old one. It's an old concept. Nowadays, nobody follows it. But as it is written, you have to go through it and you have to understand it works same as K plus ion gradient. Okay, so till here, if it is clear to you, then it's enough for you, enough for today.
Yes, Miss.
Okay, so it's easy to digest, or I have overfed you?
No, Miss, it's easy to digest.
Yeah, okay, fine. So, okay, but am I clear with the diction of my part? Do you understand whatever pronunciations I am using?
Yes, Miss. Exactly.
Okay, okay, okay. Thank you so much. So that is what till here you just go through your textbooks. If you have any doubts, we will be have solving them in the next class, and we will proceed further then.
Okay, molecules. Miss, when is the next class?
I think timetable must be there with him.
No, Miss. As per the timetable, there is one class per week, and Miss, Miss, the syllabus is
Quite large.
quite large, Miss.
Okay.
Very large.
Yes. I okay, fine. That we will see. I will talk to the teachers if it is what they can do for this. Okay, and the thing is, till here, uh, uh, must we have done some chapters too in from last 2-3 months. Am I right?
Yes, Miss. We have done two
Okay.
chapters. The first two chapters, structure of chromosomes and genetics.
Okay, that part is done to you.
Yes, Miss. That
Is
part.
there anything which is remaining or incomplete?
No, Miss, not at all.
Yeah. And this chapter which we have begun, is it already done to you half of the portion, or am I starting with the new one?
Miss, actually, our previous teacher had just started this.
Just started.
Yeah,
So it's
half of
not
the
the
class.
problem. You have not missed anything from this. Am I right?
No, Miss. Yeah. Yes, Miss.
Okay, okay, fine. So I will definitely have a talk with the teachers for your syllabus and all that. Right now, I also have the same thing, that one class per week is there. Okay,
Okay, Miss.
okay. So I will be meeting you next week.
Okay, Miss. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Have a good day.
Thank you.